mentioned, on today's show, we're going to be talking about the songs in 1980s films that made the scene. And again, we're not talking about John Williams, Craig Saffin, Harold Faltermeyer, although I love Harold Faltermeyer, Wendy Carlos. But we're talking about actual songs, pop songs mostly, or rock songs, songs with lyrics, songs that made it on the radio, songs that were on the soundtracks. Most of them, many of them charted, I'm guessing. Maybe not. No, okay. And again, but for this song, the scene would be different. It'd be kind of flat. It would be, I don't know, it might not have, been as emotional or whatever they were going for. All right, how can we go about this? We've all got songs that we want to toss in there, so we could just, Veronica looks suddenly really nervous or excited.
I'm so excited.
You want to go first, or you want to
rein
wait?
it in? I'm happy to wait because
We
I
could
have
just take turns giving stuff here.
I have so many. I would almost like for you guys to go first.
Okay. Well, you know
See if
what?
we have any of the same.
Yeah, we might.
I'm
Now,
sure we do. I have a tiny list, though.
You do. Well, yeah, we all have like a handful. And look, if we get through these, then we'll just let Veronica take over and she'll do the rest of the list.
That's just it. I didn't make a big list because I knew she had tons.
Yeah.
I dialed it back. I promise I dialed it back, Will.
There's so many possibilities, right? That for me, it became this thing of almost like poker or something. Like, well, what might Veronica put or Kat put? I don't want to put that. Or what is like too obvious? I don't know. And I found myself trying to be creative. And then ultimately, I just went with what I felt like. When I see that moment, I love hearing that song at the same time I see that scene. And that'll be that. All right. So, Kat, you or I are going to be brave here. Let's see. I'm going to try to give mine in a way that's. I'll give this one. This one is. This is more of my, as we've talked behind the scenes here, low hanging fruit, I think. And I'll tell you guys something. As a coincidence, all of my movies are from the greatest year for film. And you may not know this, Veronica, but 1984 was the greatest year for film in the 1980s. We're talking about Ghostbusters, Beverly Hills Cop, Karate Kid, literally 24 blockbuster films came out in that year, more than any other years from that year. Anyway, so speaking of that, my first choice is "You're the Best" by Joe Esposito and Bill Conti, which is the song featured during the. Oh, good. I'm glad I'm stumping.
No, I know what
V.
it is.
Oh,
I know
okay.
what it is.
Oh, all right.
You're the best.
Yes. There's just going to be a lot of singing on the show. And
Sorry.
66% of it's going to be bad. That's Kat and I.
I'm
sorry, Kat, I
the
dragged you
worst
into
will be
that.
me with my voice right now. Yeah.
But of course, this song is, it was written by Bill Conti, and I want to point out it was also by, hope I'm saying her name right, Allie Willis, and there's a reason why later. But this is the song that's played during the All Valley tournament, the championship montage, which is nearing the end of the film when we see Daniel LaRusso fighting his way up to be the unlikely champion of this.
The crane.
Yes, which may be an illegal kick depending upon who you talk to. But I think I have a little bit, look, now having done sound design and composition, years ago, I'm sort of more pay attention to these things. I wish they cut the song a little bit differently because they start singing a little sooner, but there's something about the buildup of that song, connection with that takes a montage that would otherwise be, and we've seen this in tons of 80s films, montage of people fighting through a tournament or something. There's lots of them. They're boring pretty quickly. But for, I guess you're waiting to see the outcome, which is usually pretty predictable. But there's something about this song connection with it that just makes it that extra special and exciting.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
I didn't realize that there had been some criticism over the years of the song because there's a line in it where Joe Esposito sings, "History repeats itself." And apparently folks were like, wait a second, this is the first time Daniel's ever been in the tournament. That makes no sense. And Esposito called into the Adam Carolla show in 2008 to clarify that the song was originally written for Rocky III, and that's why. But Eye of the Tiger replaced it, and it was also turned down for Flashdance in favor of Maniac by Michael Cimbello. Anyway, there you go.
Well, maybe the history repeating itself was Mr. Miyagi, like passing it on. It could be interpreted that way, maybe.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Am I reaching? Are we reaching?
That
No,
never
works
struck
for
me
me.
as odd. I always thought of it actually was that the idea, and look, I was a kid seeing it, so this is what's first in my mind, was the idea that the tournament was there predated Daniel. And the history repeating itself was really Johnny, who was just, this guy who just won every time. And really, Daniel was going to be the guy that upset history. I always took it like that.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
all right,
That
who's
works.
next?
Well, speaking of Flashdance,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'll go next. I love her audition scene with the song "What a Feeling," sung by Irene Cara. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And this was not from the greatest year of film, but the year before, 1983. Flashdance came out. And yeah, I loved that scene. Love that song. It was beautiful.
Yeah. So you both just mentioned Flashdance, Maniac, and What a Feeling. And I also have that on my sheet. So
Oh,
Awesome.
okay.
Awesome.
I think both of those songs in that film, that to me is like two really pivotal ones, which by the way, that film was shot in Pittsburgh. I don't know if you know that. Obviously she's a steel worker. So
Right. Yeah, I did not know that, but yeah.
yeah, it didn't click till years later for me. Like, oh, that's okay.
Oh, and you remind me they used that song in the beginning. They open. It opens with that song, and then her
The theme.
audition is to it
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's
Does it
great.
go with that song? I don't remember that. Huh.
Like the theme.
She's biking. She's like going across town. I didn't realize it was Pittsburgh. Now I do. Yeah, she's biking across town, and she's going to her job, and they show a welder. It says Alex on the
Yeah, she's a steel
her
worker,
shield, and
Yeah.
yep,
a Boilermaker or whatever they call them.
yeah.
I always remember that at the beginning you see some breakdancers, which is included in New York, the Rocksteady crew, including Crazy Legs, dancing there on the street. Who later on, this is the funniest thing to me, is later on is her double. If you remember, part of her dance routine, she does some breaking.
Yes.
That's actually Crazy Legs, and if you watch it now, it goes from her very feminine dancer figure to this like stocky man with a wig on. It's hilarious. It is hilarious.
I did not know that. Oh,
If you watch it now, it
that
stands
again.
out. But yeah, Crazy Legs appears twice in the film. Once as the lead, so to speak.
Wow,
But yeah,
wow.
Amazing.
yeah. I almost included on my list, but I didn't. Ultimately, was a similar scene was the end of the film break-in where they have a similar thing where it's like, I don't care. We're not for this. The standards of this particular dance school. They had what in Flashdance, it was like a fake Carnegie Mellon type school. I can't remember what they called it, but in Breaking, it's Juilliard, I believe. It's like we're gonna be out of the norm and do whatever we want, and very sort of rousing song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff.
All right,
good
V,
stuff.
that's it. We made
All
it
right.
to you.
Okay. Woo. So my criteria for picking these songs were, first of all, the first 5 that came off the top of my head because they were so memorable, and seeing them as a kid, you just always remember like, oh, that scene and all that.
Right.
But my other criteria was if I came across, so usually, I like to watch movies, and I watch sometimes 2 or 3 at a time, and just sort of like channel surf back and forth, especially if they're like on some channel with like commercials. It's like, okay, commercial, go to the other one. So so the second part of my criteria, I thought I could put a lot of thought into this.
Wow.
And honestly, the idea came up one of those nights where I was watching multiple movies, and if the scene with the song in it, if I had to watch that moment in the film because it raises such an emotional response.
Right.
So all
It
that
was a
being
no
said,
miss.
yes, exactly. So
That's cool.
okay, so the first one I have to say, Pretty in Pink,
Ah.
2 amazing songs in the movie, which totally did it for me. Number 1, in the record shop, Try a Little Tenderness, when Ducky is lip syncing and this whole thing. And if you watch their, Molly Ringwald and Iona, their reaction to him,
Amy
and
Potts,
it just Amy Potts, yes. Yeah, Andy and Iona. So anyway, it is just, I watched it again last night. They're like, he's going nuts. And anyway, it's this amazing scene. And then like, anyway, so that's one. But then of course the ending scene, OMD, If You Leave.
Yes.
And they walk into the prom and blah, blah, blah. Do you know what the scene I'm talking about? And,
Oh yeah.
Andrew McCarthy
Yes.
looks terrible. And he tells James Spader, like, F you, like, go away, like you're a crappy person, and then tells her like, I love you always, and then walks out, and she runs to the parking lot and they kiss, and yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there's a couple different levels to that too, like with Ducky and the the Andrew McCarthy character. I forget his name in the movie.
Yeah.
But, a couple different levels going on there of the if you leave.
Exactly. And the other thing about it is, and look, there's a lot of John Hughes movies. We could like look into the music and all that, but I specifically chose this one because he has new music and very vintage music, which was very much the vibe of Molly Ringwald's character, Andy, in the movie. And that was very different at the time. You didn't really see like, at least in like a big production movie, you didn't see a lot of girls that were like shopping in vintage stores. It was kind of this new, sensibility, which I thought was really cool and just super well done. And so,
and that was a theme in the movie too. That was an important part of her character to have that a vintage feel, original. She didn't, she wasn't being like the other women who had to have whatever the latest fashion was and the cost. It was prohibitive for her. But
So anyway,
you remind me of a couple of things. One, I always that scene of Ducky. I remember being that young and thinking, I want to aspire to be like so, dance like nobody's watching kind of thing, where you just don't care. Like you're just so yourself. It was aspirational. But you remind me also in the 80s, and maybe this is a common thing today too, but certainly in the 80s, many of the films featured, like you're saying, contemporary songs and then throwback songs. I think about like Earth Angel and Karate Kid 2 stands out to me, which, probably a lot of folks at our age, that was one of their, exposures to that song. Or Johnny Be Good and Back to the Future, which is another scene-making song. Oh, I don't want to steal anybody's. I should stop talking.
No.
I don't want to take anything from anybody's list.
Oh, that's a good one.
But that you could have Power of Love and that song in the same film. It is interesting how we did that back then, and we were better for it because we had such a more, it seems like, richer sort of, catalog of music in our sort of, repertoires.
Right. Which is why it's also really encouraging. Like we were talking about The Weeknd before, like going back to the 80s with the sound. Like music is music, no matter when it comes from. And it's nice when you can kind of blend the two together, and just keep that continuum going.
Okay, I'll go next. Hey, I'm trying to pick mine in an order that's builds to something, but probably doesn't. I don't think it does. And it's harder when you're working with other folks. All right, hey, here's my next one. Also a 1984 film, Ghostbusters. This is Saving the Day. Now, this happens towards the end of the movie. It's a song from the Alessi brothers, or Alessi as they refer. They're actually identical twin brothers, Billy and Bobby. The song was nominated for a Grammy Award. I believe they didn't win, but it's the one, Saving the Day, Saving the Day. I'm actually playing the keyboard on my desk. That was 30% of the bad music you're going to hear. So.
Wait, was that when like the Stay Puft Marshmallow guy came?
It's right before that. So the mayor, I guess, they're in trouble with the government at first, and then the mayor wants them to save the town. They get back their equipment, they get in their car, and they actually have a police escort now. And Bill Murray's character, Peter Venkman, says, let's run some Reds. And they fire up the car, and you just hear this music start. Doom, 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 doom.
Yes. I know exactly the song now. Yes.
I got
very good.
bucks too. Just so
yeah.
And then what I really liked about how they arranged that was, unlike the Karate Kid one, is they have a long instrumental part where we even get to any of the verses. And then finally at pivotal moments, the verses kick in, we get to the chorus. And it made sense. I came across just on their own website, the Alessi brothers, someone wrote to them saying, hey, there's parts of the music in the movie that aren't on the recording that, that's available to us commercially, including some of the doo-doos they wrote, some guitar pickings and some horns. And they wrote back saying that the reason why is because they gave the music to Ivan Reitman. He said, we love this song. But then he would say, hey, I need a 20-second piece with sort of just the opening groove of it sort of extended. And so they'd send it back. And so they were sort of working together to score this scene using their, ultimately a pop song, which is kind of interesting because most of these songs, like we'll learn, I think, are either songs someone had written and then some music supervisor said, hey, let's put this in the movie. Or like the case with like Kenny Loggins is what happened. They'd say, hey, Kenny, we made this movie, and they'd send him the script or some part of it, and then he'd write a song, But this was more of a sort of a, a loop. They had sort of a production loop, which I thought was neat.
Very cool.
Anyway,
Cool. Very
there you
cool.
go.
All right.
Very cool.
Okay. My next one, you'll be shocked to hear, is another movie having to do with dancing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Footloose.
Oh, so many choices though.
Yes.
Which
But-
one?
I know. My favorite one, I think, this was a little tough, but I really love, actually, we did this on our movie montage, I think, right? I think
Okay.
we did this in our movie
Not sure.
montages episode. Let's Hear It for the Boy,
Oh yes,
performed by
Yes.
Denise
that's
Williams.
my favorite off the album too.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, the song, of course, is fabulous, but that whole scene, that whole progression of his, him teaching his buddy how to dance,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. I get the biggest kick out of it. So yeah,
And is he the boy then? And that Let's Hear It for the Boy. It's not
That's
Ren, it's Chris Penn's character.
Yes.
Right.
Jeez, what's
Right.
his name? I always forget his name.
I should have looked it up. But in my head, yes, it's all right. Let's hear it for this boy who's
Yep.
working hard and
Yeah.
learning how to gain a new skill. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That soundtrack is just incredible. Like if you really dig into it. Yeah. Almost Paradise. Obviously the
Yes.
theme song. Yeah. All that stuff. So
Yep.
good. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
And I think we've this right. I think we could say this about the 1980s. It was the decade in which we had these sort of jukebox musicals, where it wasn't a musical. Footloose ultimately
Right.
became a musical, on Broadway. But
Right.
at the time, it already was a musical because they had so many vignettes or music videos built into the movie. It was a new kind of paradigm for musicals for our generation that grew up on MTV.
Yeah. I forget that what it's actually called, but there's a thing in film when you have like the song and the montage of like to speed along the action. And it's like one of those things like him learning to dance or, but anyway, I digress.
Yep.
So many. Okay. I have to go with a movie that I never saw in the 80s because it was a little too scary for me
Okay.
for whatever weird reason.
Oh, that's a scary movie.
Interesting.
Okay.
Well, it is, but it isn't. Less Than Zero,
Oh, scary for that. Okay, yep.
which
I
I
never saw that.
I just watched it maybe a month ago,
Wow.
and
Uh-huh.
like with eyes, like peeled back wide open like saucers.
Oh my goodness.
Holy cow! I mean,
Yeah.
cinematically shot, beautiful cinematography, incredible performances by all the characters. But when Blaine is on, not Blaine, I'm calling him Blaine from the other movie, Andrew McCarthy.
that's Andrew McCarthy's character.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
I'm mixing my metaphors. When Andrew McCarthy's character is on the plane and coming back home, and they play Hazy Shade of Winter, the Bangles
Right.
cover.
Oh,
And
okay.
Again, that whole soundtrack, Rick Rubin, was the, put all the songs together for the soundtrack. He produced that track for the Bangles. They kind of remade that Simon and Garfunkel classic. But this like really sort of rock and upbeat version of the song that's a little bit dark and sort of whimsical and eerie, Hazy Shade of Winter. And he's like in this snowstorm in his college dorm. And then boom, he hits LA and it's like palm trees and just this. The film has, this consistent theme of the contrast. Like everything looks great, shiny, but it's like really like dying.
But kind of dissonant.
So,
Yeah.
Totally.
Ooh.
So that one gave me the goosebumps when I heard that.
Wow.
That is perfect. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. Hey, my next song from a movie that made the scene is, and again, I tried to search my soul, maybe not as much as you guys did, but and also try to think like what maybe you wouldn't pick. Okay, so here you go. I picked a scene from the film Break-In, 1984.
Shocker.
And this scene features Michael Chambers, who was a guest on our show sometime last year, I think it was. And the scene is iconic. In the scene, Michael's character is he works at a sort of a bodega, a grocery store in the LA area, and he's told he's got to clean up outside. So he takes a broom and he winds up turning into this dance number that starts out sort of like a, nouveau Fred Astaire in a sense because he's dancing with a broom. But it becomes almost magical by the end. I think the broom is even floating around. But
Wow.
he's an amazing dancer. As we talked about on the show with him, he taught Michael Jackson how to moonwalk. I mean, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Right.
But the song they danced to at the time is Tour de France from the German electronic band Kraftwerk. It was released in 1983. It peaked at number 22 in the UK. It's notable and the group is notable for so many breakthroughs at the time as far as the technology and techniques they used. They inspired a number of folks, including Sir Mix-a-Lot, who we talked to a little while ago, was one of the inspirations for his sound. But in this one, they actually sampled some voices and mechanical sounds that make it sound like a cyclist. It's called Tour de France, But that with the sort of electro, percussive pattern that they have, in that combination with his dance moves that just seem to fit perfectly with it, I think elevate the scene. He could have danced to any number of songs, but there's something about that pairing that really, I think, makes that scene for it. I learned in digging into this that Kraftwerk, even though they let them use it for the movie, they didn't let them release it on the soundtrack, so they had somebody do like a knockoff version.
Interesting.
And the band that did the knockoff, they called themselves 10 Speed.
Okay.
To go along with the theme.
I don't think I've seen that movie since the 80s. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
All right, my third choice, shocker again, has to do
Another
with
dance
dancing.
movie?
Another dance movie.
Oh, okay.
Dirty Dancing.
Oh, you beat to it. All right.
I know, and this
Again,
one
a
might
lot
be
of choices.
Yeah.
pretty much. And I didn't say my criteria. I'm not sure I had a very clear criteria, but I just like what popped into my head and what had like an emotional. What did I have an emotional response to? What brought the feels on? And they also just sort of had to do with dancing. So yeah, Dirty Dancing is from 1987, and I've had the time of my life song there at the end when they get to perform, in front of everybody. It's just especially when the part where Patrick Swayze he jumps off the stage and then he's in front of all these other people collected in the back who are just kind of dancing along, and then they all come forward. They're all doing these things in unison, and I love that. I have to say though, there was another song from there that I did not pick because I was just thinking, well, I'm going to pick songs that were popular in the 80s. But the Hey Baby song, I think that's what it's called, right? It's like from the 50s or 60s. I also love that scene as well, where she's on her journey to figuring out balance, and but this one is trumps the other one for me.
Yeah, I actually was thinking of that one too. But that's also a good mix, like we said before, between having the new song and then the vintage stuff together.
Oh, yes.
Another great use of that. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Since we're on a dancing, trip.
Okay.
So
you don't have to do that for me. It's okay.
No, but
I was part of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now that you are. So I'll bring this one up. Separate Lives from White Knights.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
If you haven't seen the movie with Mikhail Baryshnikov and Isabella Rossellini and Gregory Hines, so again, checking out YouTube videos yesterday.
Yes.
That opening dance scene. Have you seen the film? You have to have.
I haven't seen it since.
Yes.
Myself. Yeah.
Right. So
wait, did you see it, Will?
Yeah, in the 80s I saw it. I don't think I've seen
it
since.
No.
But anyway, the dancing in the film is just incredible. It makes me just so aware of how badly I dance.
Oh.
Because it makes you appreciate so much. Two of the greatest dancers of all time. Dancing together.
Visually, of course, yes. But you love to dance, right?
I love. Of course, I do.
Good dancing.
Of course, I do. I do.
That's all that matters.
I do. No, for sure. But Phil Collins sort of cornered the market with some of those '80s songs, and so I'll just do it in tandem here. Obviously, there's White Knights, Separate Lives, but then also Against All Odds.
Yes,
that scene, which I know we talked about a little bit. But that scene at the end where it's, the credits roll and her character is just emoting, and then they freeze on her. I mean, it gives me the chills every time when they play that theme song against all odds.
Yeah.
So, which was another film from the 80s that I didn't watch until this month, which I'm really glad because it was a little, it's a stiff brew.
Yeah,
Yeah, a little
lot-
rough.
yeah.
Okay.
Some of these
Yeah.
films you're mentioning they're more adults. I mean, even the White Knights. I remember seeing it as a kid, and probably why I haven't seen it again is because when I saw it then, I was like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
But my parents were watching it on VHS or something, or Betamax, and I was like,
Heavy
I'll
stuff.
stick around. Yeah.
Right.
Heavy stuff.
I think I saw the ones that I've mentioned because of the dance connection. Like I, knew I had a friend through dance class who saw it, and then we would go see it together. Yeah.
Yeah, that. How can you just let me walk away? Turn around and whatever. Oh my God.
Yeah. I know. Just slip me.
I had, I DJ'd. Folks are sick of hearing about this, I'm sure, but I DJ'd, since I was 14 or 13 years old, I started my own DJ business. So I DJ'd throughout the 1980s, and it was whenever that song came out, it was like 85 or something like that. I had it on 45. I might still have it actually on 45. White Knights, and it had like a picture, like maybe it was like the poster sort of on the sleeve of the 45, and people wanted to hear it. It was one of the slow dances that folks would want to dance to, and against all odds too, actually.
Yeah.
But,
And actually the wait, what did we just say? The White Knight song is with
Separate Lives.
Separate Lives. Yeah, Marilyn Martin does that with him as a duet, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Super cool.
Yeah, Phil Collins, Kenny Loggins. I mean, these guys sort of just dominated the hit songs that were in films. In addition to just having hit songs.
Yeah. 100%.
Let's see. This will be my last one, and I could come up with others. I have others, but I think timing-wise, we'll say this is my last one.
All right.
Okay, so next up for me is Neutron Dance. Okay, here we go. I should probably set the scene for you. All right. I told you, all 1984 films. This is from Beverly Hills Cop, 1984. This song was also, and it's the scene where where he is Axel Foley is he's undercover. He's wanting to buy this truck full of cigarettes, trying to sort of it's like a sting operation. I think he's gone rogue though. He's on his own. I don't think his captain knows about this, right? Because it becomes an issue.
Right.
But ultimately, the bad guys take off with him in the back of the truck that he's trying to foil this crime, and a Neutron Dance kicks in, and it really look again. It could be any song, and it would be a chase scene. That's fine, but there's something about the combination of this music. For me, they're forever fused, and there's something about the lightness of it and the energy of it that is compatible and with the film sort of tone overall, which is this combination of adventure and comedy that just makes it sing. And speaking of that, the song was written by Allie Willis, who I mentioned earlier. Oh, she wrote something. What was it? I don't remember now. But she also wrote it with Danny Cimbello, who's the brother of Michael Cimbello, who wrote Maniac and sung Maniac.
Yeah.
So this is all,
Okay.
it's all connected.
Yeah.
All connected.
We should do a shared universe movie soundtrack
songs,
quiz.
yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
According to Willis, the song was written in hopes of being on the soundtrack for Streets of Fire, which was very different. Ultimately, went to the Pointer Sisters, who recorded it for their album Breakout, and was featured in the film. Willis, again, describing the experience of witnessing her composition featured in the film, described it as mind-boggling. And she goes on to talk about how the way they edited it, certain lines of the song corresponded with moments in the action. And I never caught this, but she points out that on the line, "Someone stole my brand new Chevrolet," the truck that Eddie Murphy is hanging on to for dear life crashes into a Chevrolet.
Oh my goodness.
She says when they sing "I'm Just Burning" doing the Neutron Dance, you see a car explode. I've never caught any of this. Now I'm going to rewatch that just for that. But originally the producers of the film they were disinclined to use this Neutron Dance, and instead asked Richard Perry to create a similarly styled song instead to score this sequence. But Perry demurred, according to Wikipedia here, opining that Neutron Dance was a, quote, 1 in a million song.
All right.
And yeah,
Amazing.
created a 1 in a million scene.
Wow. Hey, I know you said we're not talking about, the people who score the films or that, but you have to mention, if you're going to do Beverly Hills Cop, you have to mention Harold Faltermeyer.
Oh, yes.
Oh
my gosh.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
Absolutely.
When you
Right?
you first said this to me, that was the first thing that leapt to my mind when you had this idea for this episode. I was like, oh, that.
Yeah.
But then, which we should say, that became a radio hit.
Yes,
So maybe
that's
that's
what-
even kind of gets in there.
there are very few songs that are instrumentals that become hits, but that, the Miami Vice, the theme, all those things. But anyway, so
And Harold Faltermeyer is a guy who you don't realize how many things he contributed to in the 1980s. Sure, he wrote that. He wrote Fletch. And we did get a chance to speak to Harold. Very nice guy. And a lot of the things were similar, which is ultimately why he said he stopped writing for movies in the 80s, because they kept wanting him to do Axel F over and over again. But he wrote the theme for Top Gun. And he co-wrote, what was it? I think Danger Zone, for Kenny Loggins. He's another guy who's sort of forever sort of, he's inseparable from the songs and films in the 1980s. And Giorgio
Sneaky.
Moroder, you could throw him in there too, his mentor.
I forgot to mention Giorgio Moroder. He was part of What a Feeling, Flashdance.
Not surprising.
Right.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
That's
He
right.
helped write that.
He wrote
That's
a bunch of hit
right.
songs that you wouldn't know. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
from the 1980s. All right, Kat, you got something else for us to?
Yeah, I sort of do.
Okay.
I have two. I'm having trouble choosing between, so maybe I'll sneak them both in. But I'm having a hard time choosing. Well, we already talked about White Nights. This scene where they dance together in the studio is not a song that was popular in any way that I can remember. It's called "Prove Me Wrong" by David Peck. What did I write there?
I don't remember that.
It's if you look up the look up on YouTube the scene, you put in White Nights dance scene.
Yeah.
Okay. I
And
kind
that
of
will
remember
come
the
up.
scene. I don't remember the song.
Yeah, no, it's kind of movie specific. I think this song charted at number 95, if I read correctly. So it wasn't a popular song at all, but it is the song that they dance to when they do I'll call it iconic dance scene with the, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And the other one I'm having trouble choosing between is "Say Anything in Your Eyes" with Peter Gabriel, right?
Oh, yes.
I feel like I can't leave that off and of any list of iconic songs that help make a scene.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I forgot to write down when that came out, but that was later, right? 89?
Yeah, 89.
think late,
Yeah, okay.
ladies.
The
Oh,
thing-
that's
Yeah,
totally forgot about that one.
that's all
Man.
good. Yeah, that's
Man.
all
that's
good
okay. I'm
stuff,
here to
Kat.
remind you.
And the thing I like about that "Say Anything" thing was, first of all, I love that song, Peter Gabriel. I think I was a fan of the song before it was in the film. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
we had that right. It's so subtle, like in a sense. The gesture is huge emotionally, but all he's doing is holding a radio. I mean, and letting it speak for him. I don't know. There's something so simple about it that I feel like in a film today, like it would be something grander. That would sort of, I don't know, weaken it overall.
Yeah.
I feel like the boombox, it's like a symbol of his heart.
Oh yeah, he's putting it out there. Oh God,
Like-
Kat, yes,
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
very good. Yeah.
So that gives me the chills. I think that's actually the better choice. I mean, I love that dancing scene, but Say Anything.
They're
is
both
my,
good. Good. Nice. I'm glad you got both of those in there.
Yeah.
Actually, that scene where he's holding up the boombox has been sort of parodied, or there have been nods to it in other more recent,
Sure.
young teen kind of films. So it definitely stood the test of time. So
Yeah.
good on
yeah.
you. Good on you. Well,
Now the pressure.
oh gosh. Well, I'm just gonna.
You just want to
You
rattle
could
off a
sneak
list.
two in also. Yeah.
There are
You
lots,
give us
but
more than one. You got to get few. Sure, we got time.
Go for
well,
it.
I'm just gonna name the film,
Okay.
which to me had
Okay.
the greatest soundtrack. I saw it in a theater when it came out. Purple Rain.
Oh, okay, of course.
Every single song and in every single scene. I mean,
Yeah,
it was
that-
just incredible album.
Mhm.
Whatever you think of the story, you think of the story. But how cool is it to see Prince, and just, expressing himself that way through you know, script and drama and the whole thing. So, but if I had to pick one song from the scene,
Which one?
it's Purple Rain. It's the
yeah.
ending. It's the
Gotta be.
ending, and the arms are going, and you know, and he's just like, "This is for my father," or whatever he says. And it's just like, you know, I mean, just pretty. And then he plays the song that the girls in his band start to write, and like just all the things come together. And what a cool way to write a soundtrack yourself and make a movie and have every scene be up, you know, and you know, the Morrissey and the Time is in it, you know, they perform. I can go on and on and on about it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So super cool.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing how much he did. I mean, yeah, like you pointed out, he was doing everything. I think he did the catering. I mean, maybe shy of the catering.
Costume design. Yeah.
And Kat, I think you would like that one because, you know, the dancing. Prince.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
Prince knows how to move.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
He's an energetic guy. Yep.
Great songs, everybody! Wow, and look, look like V pointed out, there's so many. She's got a list there. We'll have her back. We'll probably talk
I
about
want to
something
see
else.
this
We'll be
list. I
back.
want to see how long it is.
Or maybe you could just let us know. We could post it somewhere or something.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. This has been amazing.
Thank you so much for your time.
So
we look
fun.
forward to your next challenge for us to participate in for 1980s, testing our knowledge.
Sweet.
Okay, hey, we will talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
See ya.
Bye.